family viewers and all that is here to unite in love. Welcome to the We Are One Foundation family podcast and conversation about all kinds of ways that we can bring love and joy to the world. And today I have our very amazing family member, Greg Betts, in a wonderful chat today about recognizing that we are all doing the best that we can do always, and showing that responsibility and recognizing how great we do and the positive that is within us. And Greg and I have been chatting about this on many links, and so we thought coming on here to dive into more detail would be a really great conversation to be held. So Greg, do you want to start us off with some of these insights that we were discussing and having?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Erin. This is something that actually one of my favorite teachers, John Roger, spoke about years ago. This just stayed with me. And he's a delightful teacher. And one of the things I love about him is that he's not only wise, but he's also got this wicked sense of humor. So he's interesting to listen to and learn from. And what he said is just for a moment, imagine what the world would be like if each of us realized that everyone in every minute is always doing the very best they can. And sometimes that's not very impressive. And it's a beautiful thought to me, because what it brings forward for me is when things are challenging, or we have challenging people in our lives, it's so easy to drop into frustration and judgment, and then have problems. And that when we step back and realize that we've all had moments when we haven't been at our best, because if we're in fear, we're not the same people. And so when you see someone who's just being a jerk, instead of saying, "Oh, what a jerk," we can step back and go, "Okay, there's something going on that's causing that person to behave that way." And instead of being, again, angry and in judgment, for me, it just helps to step back into compassion and understanding, like, okay, well, whatever it is, I wonder if there's some way I could help, right? And I think that just, for me, it just softens the world. So whether it's people that are not very nice, or people that are stirring up problems and making the world a more messy place, and just go, well, they're just doing their best, and that's all we can ask, and that's beautiful, and hopefully they'll find a way to find a better place, and then things will be better. And so I just think that's beautiful. And when I think about, again, if I imagine a whole generation of kids that grew up with that understanding, instead of let's all divide and focus on what divides us.
Greg, I love this conversation. It's seen so much today, especially with so many things changing. That level of insecurity and fear is really seated in so many people, and we can see it consistently when we are out in town, or in a restaurant, or really anywhere. We can feel that sadness or the judgment from across the room, and it really makes me really think about what am I feeling when I'm acting that way. What's happening for me in that moment?
Sure.
And so, like you, it's like, so then now I can create that compassion around, oh, okay, well, that's probably somewhere where they're going through. What do I need when I'm feeling frustrated or judgmental? Sometimes I need a hug. Sometimes I need compassion. And so I think showing up for what that judgment is and noticing when we have our own judgments, we're all going to have certain thoughts that may come up. And it's I think learning to be with that and noticing that others in those insecurities are really just needing a hug. They're needing that security that's missing, and that's that root chakra. That's that stability within ourselves to be grounded into the earth, to know that we have our root system and our tree is stable. And in society right now, that root chakra really just kind of got ripped out of a lot of people because the unknowing of what might happen next. Is the school system going to be together? What's the government doing? How's the medical system flowing? It's all changing. And so that unknowing is really that instability of being grounded. And when we aren't able to be grounded and secure in our root chakra, then we do come off very judgmental and, again, insecure. So I think it's really interesting to really notice and have that huge compassion for where we're all at, because truly I think every human is working to do the best they can. Human nature is not to be negative and judgmental, even though it may seem like that. Really, our nature is not that.
Well, yes, our if you will, our true nature with a capital T and a capital N. But again, I think part of the beauty of this teaching is the reality is sometimes human nature is to be in fear, and that's okay. But we all know the equation, and we've all felt that dynamic when someone who is deep in a fear vibration interacts with us. One of the things that it invites is for us to join them down in that fear, and we all know how that goes. It doesn't go well, and so just being aware of it gives us the option to put in a choice point there of like, oh yes, I would love to yell at Bill right now because Bill is being an idiot, and that may feel satisfying on some level, but ultimately it's not going to make me feel good, and it's not going to make Bill feel good, and it's likely to escalate and keep everyone in fear and spread it. So, something else, and and you hit it on the head in terms of one of the antidote is to be able to pull to a centered place and anchor in the love, and the other thing that comes to me about frustration and anger is frustration and anger is what we feel when we're resisting feeling powerless. So we're in a situation where we feel powerless, and so now with that awareness, instead of diving into joining into the frustration fest, we can turn our attention to, oh, what would make me feel more powerful in this moment? Or what would help Bill feel more power in this moment? And maybe that's a hug and some assurance. And maybe it's just a smile and I understand what you're talking about, and sorry you're having a hard time. Let's see if we can't roll up our sleeves. And that can help them again find the better part of themselves, and then we can create a better moment together.
I love that, Greg. I mean, I feel like that's such a huge support to just be with someone in that moment of, it's okay that you feel that way. I hear you, feel you.
Yeah.
And sometimes just that validation of where you're at is okay, even though it feels really, really crappy. And I feel like even that takes that vibration. Oh, okay, wait a minute, I'm okay being like this. And it almost takes the vibration up instantly, just allowing anyone to be okay.
Yes.
In that moment.
And something else, Erin, that just it touches my heart is when I contrast to my childhood when I was in elementary school, and God love my teachers, just trying to maintain order and just hold things together. It's such a hard thing to do with 30 kids in the classroom, and imagine how that dynamic changes if you're able to impart this into the kid's education, so that when Billy is acting out, um, it's not only the teacher, but you got 29 classmates that go, "Oh, I want to get back to, my art lesson, and until Billy finishes his meltdown, that's not going to happen. Is there anything I can do?" Right? And instead of putting Billy in the corner and making him bad, we can actually help him heal and help him balance and help him learn that he can come back when he feels that way.
Percent.
And that's a life skill that is immeasurably valuable.
Immeasurably. What you're saying is actually reminding me of a couple months ago in one of our projects, teaching class. And it was in a class with multiple age students, from 5 all the way up to around 17. And in one of the classes, the little boy that was about 5 years old, he had so many ideas about things. He's just so excited about stuff. And he was feeling very frustrated. He was feeling like he wasn't able to do what he needed to do in that moment. And so he created all of this frustration. He was yelling and he decided to run off. And it was a beautiful moment because everyone in the class uproared and they vibrationally pick up on that energy, right? And so a few of them started to be like, "Oh, he's just nah, nah, nah." And they were kind of giving that negative, pushing more of the negative. And I said, "Okay, guys, I hear you, but let's just stop for a second and let's think about what are you guys all, what are you feeling, and what are you feeling you need if you're feeling like how he feels right now?"
Mm-hmm.
And we let him have some space as we talked about this. And I asked a couple of the students, "Well, what would you need if you were feeling frustrated?" "Well, I just want to feel heard. I maybe want to hug. I want to express what I have to say." And I was like, "Great answers, guys." So basically what you're saying is that you need some compassion and that we need some love. And they were all like, "Well, yeah, I guess." And I was like, "Awesome. So let's all put our hands to our hearts and let's send him some love right now and some compassion for how he's feeling."
Yeah.
Well, the entire class did it. It was really awesome.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. And or even with somebody that has attention deficit challenges, oh, what he really needs is just to run around the soccer field for 3 minutes and let some energy go. Okay, Billy, we're going to watch here from the window. Just go run a lap as fast as you can and come back, right? And it's so simple. And compared to having it take 20 minutes to get everyone calmed down again, it saves the moment. And then again, for me, what it's so much about is helping our kids have the tools to take into their lives. So it's not just teaching them stuff; it's teaching them how to access the best part of themselves more often, and to find new new parts of themselves, and again give them. Don't just say, "Hey, the future of the world's in your generation's hand. Good luck. Do better than we did." To be able to say, "Hey, here's some tools. Here's actually, can you see how this is different than if we did, if we let this unfold the other way?" Hey, because what if we really actually reinforce that we're all living in the world here together and we're here to help each other and support each other? Who wouldn't want support when they need help? And who wouldn't want to feel how good it feels to help people when they need support? And giving giving kids that, along with the math and the science and the history, which is also important. But it's not just what are you going to be when you grow up, or what are you going to do when you grow up. It's what kind of human can you be as you grow up, and let them explore that. That's what gets me excited about our work.
Because these kids really, I mean, we are evolving as humanity. And, as much as, learning about the science and the math and those things that come into our 3D reality, the emotional intelligence and support is really missing from the communication. And a lot of our youth, and including the adults and parents that are working to support it, are really not sure how to grasp these emotions and really dealing with, is it okay for me to feel this way? And really bringing that into the aspect of our day to day. And what really needs to be supported is, are my feelings okay? Yes, your feelings are okay. And allowing them to unfold. What are we really feeling? Asking a few questions, allowing the youth to follow through with that. And really what has been happening so much in society and in school systems is that they're getting reprimanded for feeling overwhelmed or feeling a little out of place or all over the place. And I think that allowance and the acceptance of who each of those individuals are in those moments, because we are evolving, because we are made of energy, we are all feeling everyone around us. And how we experience that in a classroom or in a group of people is going to be different for each of us. And so this topic is so great because it's that acceptance and allowance for us to be that individual as we unfold into this evolution of humanity, because humanity isn't what it used to be. We are evolving into understanding more of how our energetic body works and that we are feeling others. And so really seeding these children and our parents with the aspects of, it's okay. It's okay. And we're all okay right where we're at. And I don't hear that very often.
Yes. Well, and I think, raising the conversation, you don't have to look very far to see what happens when adults are stuck in, I know everything I know about you because you live in a blue state. I know everything I need to know about you because whatever. And then let's focus on the things that divide us, and wrestle with each other, and how the world unfolds when that is in our perspective, versus, yes, there are some things that we may see fundamentally the 180-degree opposite, and we're still part of something bigger. And that part of us is so much larger than what divides us. And it's amazing how much the world changes when that part of us just gets a little bit more attention. Because you know what? Every time it gets attention, it feels good. Every time. Because it's reinforcing that, again, that true nature. We recognize it when we see it and when we feel it. And when we have an interaction and you go, well, that felt good. It doesn't necessarily have to be, well, we're gonna solve world peace today. No, it can be as simple as, oh wow, we went and did this activity together, and look at all that came forward that's new. And look how how this group of young people is learning how to bring out the best in each other, and bring out the best in themselves, and to share that, because that's another thing that feels so good. If you're lucky enough to know, oh, this is something that's really cool about me, or this is something I'm really good at, and then be able to share that, it feels amazing. And it's
huge.
Yeah, and it does. The classic ones are, I'm a good singer, or I'm a musician, or I'm an artist. Those are the ones that are are obvious, right? But not everybody's a great artist or a great singer or a great musician. But every one of us has that kernel of something unique and amazing that we have to discover if we're going to express it and share it and enjoy it, and creating an opportunity and creating the inspire the desire of like, oh, I didn't even know there's something unique inside of me. You must be kidding. That's not that's not how it's felt so far.
Well, and I love that you just said that, because that's, I feel like what was coming up for me is noticing, especially because we are energy and being empathic. I think something that is misunderstood is that we think that we're actually feeling what the other person is feeling. So when you come in and you see someone that's like me, and then all of a sudden you're like me. Well, that's that moment to go, wait a minute, they're feeling me. What do I do? What do I do now?
Oh no,
yeah, wait a minute. And so instead of coming at them with the same energy that you picked up, it's giving a small compliment can change that vibration in a moment. I was around a bunch of 17, 18-year-old young adults coming through this huge change recently. And, there was a lot of that energy of like Patty energy, if you will, non-communication, kind of interesting, because I was just noticing and watching, and I took time with each one to find a compliment.
Nice.
Whether it be, wow, your eyeliner is really fun today. I love what you did with that. And it's wild what happens. It's like, oh, thank you. And it softens. It's an immediate, it softens,
Yes.
Or, with some of the boys, it was like, I'm It's like, okay, well, me too. I would take that French fry. You know what I mean? And then they go, oh, okay, I'll ship my French fry. And then they're like, oh, now we're bros, And so it's almost like they're not sure how to communicate. They're not sure where it is, and they're feeling insecure. There's an insecurity going on. And when we can come up to that insecurity with any compliment, whether it be like, wow, that color of your shirt's cool, or, like I said, the eyeliner, anything to put a positive in the field of energy really brings out that aspect so that they can feel. Because I feel like when we are in that fear and the judgment, we almost get lost from what that passion is and what our seed is.
Sure. Or worse yet, we never even know to look for it. I'm thinking of like, for the first 40 years of my life, I was a great problem solver. So I was really successful in my career and I had interesting work, but I wasn't very happy. And it was not until I was around 40 that it clicked in. What really made me happy is not fixing problems, it's creating new stuff. It's like, how do we make this so that it's cool, so it doesn't have problems? Now that's a fun thing to dive into. But I didn't discover that until I was 40-ish, really, until it really clicked in. And when I look at what that did to my life, because all of a sudden, wow, work is just fun. Woohoo! Right? And when I think back, oh my gosh, if I knew this when I was 10, and then I could nurture it for the next 30 years after that, and I could make choices about, work that I go into, which is, oh, I don't want to go look and find a job where I can solve someone else's existing problem. I want to look for work where I can create new stuff. Oh my gosh, I get a different life. And it's not a huge leap. And it's something that we can do, again, to give all of our children a leg up, to create the life we wish they will create for themselves.
Yeah, and I think that right now is a perfect time to do it, because so many of our youth are really kind of lost in that, from what I've seen more recently. And just a little spark of inspiration can change. It's like a light switch that goes off. And, I think that it's like, oh, what is the world now? What's the future? We don't know where the market is at. We don't know what jobs are going to be good. And I think that there's a lot of question. And giving that small little inspiration of feel good allows them to connect to that movement, which is that sacral chakra of connection, which they have become in fear of because they have been most people, not just the youth, just people in society, we've been taken away from all of that communicating. The communication from and being connected to one another has been really separated. So when we come into one another, it's almost like it's okay to just walk past and just not even acknowledge that I'm walking past people. I'm in my bubble. And I think that when we're able to expand our bubble, and yes, I have thoughts going on. Yes, I have ideas, but taking ourselves out of those thoughts and ideas and putting ourselves in that other person's space first, seeing where they're at, seeing how they're feeling, and then seeding, if there's something from my space that needs to be seeded into theirs, then it will come up naturally. And I think so many of us coming into communication, our own thoughts, and to be very mindful of where others are when you walk into their space prior to growing up, if you will, what's in my head or what I'm going through, and just being aware.
Yes, and to bring that, again, that loving, expansive, creative energy in. I just got an amazing picture in my mind as you were sharing of, like, I pictured like a party with a room full of adults that are just, clustered in groups complaining about how bad the world is, and in walks a young kid. Here's the conversation. And instead of getting pulled into that and then, dreading the life that's to come, the kid inserts, no, that's not. Yeah, I mean, there's some problems, but look at this and look at that, and look at this possibility, and look at all the things that are new that we never even dreamt about that exist now that now we can use. And I'm just like picturing the adults going, "What?"
That's it. Allowing that spark to come out, and really drowning ourselves in the problem is part of the problem.
Yes.
And
Yes. Well, that's the thing. Yes. If you look at the world as a series of problems to be solved, you will always have a problem to solve. And contrarily, if you look at the world as a possibility, yet to be unfolded, well, then you never run out of those. So which world would you like to live in? Especially when the new ideas can also solve the problems, but in a way it feels so much better. It's not pulling our consciousness to be focused and consumed and fixated on how bad life feels. That's just a crazy strategy. Yeah. But it's the one that our fear-based mind and nervous system will tell us, oh, that's the road to a great, that's the road to a good life. That's the road for the best you can hope for, is, if you just, like, don't let bad stuff get too bad. Well, I'm sorry. I just refuse to frame my life that way, because then I know the best that I can hope for is, well, it sucks, but at least I know it. What? So, again, I think that's, in terms of things to take away by the time, a kid gets a diploma or whatever their end is in their formal schooling. One of the things they walk away with is that sense of wonderment and possibility, and finding their role in it, as a way to approach a life, as opposed to, oh, I've now reached the end of the formal education conveyor belt, and my job is to go and be a cog in whatever is out there, and whether it makes me happy or not, because I've got rent to pay. I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
Well, and that's why we believe that these tools for social and emotional learning and energetic awareness is so important. I mean, the statistics for the level of fear, anxiety, stress, emotional and mental disorders in the world right now is the pandemic. And this is, the possibility around that is huge, and it's a huge solution to what is next, is being able to have these tools to bring us out. Because I mean, you and I both know personally, going through different turmoils, whether it be being sick or feeling that root chakra being lost, of not sure where we land. And I personally know that being in those fear thoughts only create that anxiety, only create the fear. And those tools, and even though they seem silly, can be positive affirmations. And many times when I felt myself feeling really ill or feeling really sick, that tool of bringing myself back, I am love, I am strength, I am abundance, even if that's all you say over and over and over again for minutes at a time, or even days, because maybe there is no creativity, maybe there is no solution coming to the mind in those times of fear and stress. I relate to it. Sometimes I felt lost, sometimes I don't know what's next, or if I'm doing what's right in the moment. And that is a huge opportunity for us to just pause, breathe. I am love, I am strong, I am healthy, I am abundant. And even if we just need to sit and breathe the air, I think that that's been lost in the go, go, go world that we've been in. And taking that pause can really bring us back to that. Even if it takes an hour or it takes a couple days or weeks, it's okay to take that pause and allow ourselves to be like, I'm okay, even though it may not
Yes. And Erin, that's one of the reasons why I think it's so powerful for people to actually see our programs in action, because sometimes it looks like it's a small thing or a series of small things, but when you see how that changes the dynamic, you can't help. I mean, you feel it, right? And it's and knowing the importance of, like, you can have an adult tell a classroom full of kids, everybody calm down, rah. And you can also guide those kids to discover and create calm inside themselves. And it doesn't take a long time, but in a lot of the ways that at least I was shown growing up, no one ever said, "Hey, Greg, when you feel something, like, notice what you're feeling." Like when you said the affirmation of, I am love, or don't be scared, right? No one taught me, after when you make that affirmation, then actually, like, wait for the ping in your body. Because if I create, I am love, and then I feel it land, oh, I feel better. Well, let me do it again. Oh, I'm love. Oh, I feel it. I'm changing my consciousness real time, and it takes that feedback loop. But again, that has to be something that kids know, or they only the lucky ones, stumble across it.
Well, and this is where I think, I feel like our education system is going down. It's obsolete from where it's at. And, we as individuals, we should be learning in our passions and what excites us to learn. If we are meant to learn it, we can learn it. It's all there. That's the information age is here. We have the ability to grab so much information at any given time, that if we are able to be inspired in our learning, and that's where the education system has really gotten lost. It's almost like a babysitter for the children, which is bringing it here, here, and here. And it's like, oh, how do I control a classroom, instead of how do I see each individual in this classroom to support their moving forward. And I think in my experience and being able to be in these classrooms, having the whole room controlled never worked. Honestly, it just never worked.
Controlled is such a funny word, right? Because what that really translates to is shut down and not paying attention, and trying not to pay attention to what they're actually feeling, versus being in a centered place where they're open to try something and learn something new. And so, yeah, it's again, I when I look at the situation, and I come from a long line of teachers in my family. Yes, I can look through the lenses of it's broken, and I choose to look at it through the lenses of it's incomplete. There are super important things that we don't think of as core curriculum that are a huge part of being human, let alone being happy, productive, interesting humans. And so, my goodness, put those things. If find a way to make sure that gets instilled, because not all, a lot of adults don't have those tools or those faculties to teach to their kids. And so, you can't. It's not enough to say, well, they should get that at home.
Right.
We shouldn't have to teach a kid to be compassionate. That's something that's not the school's job. Well, let's soften our gaze a little bit and broaden our perspective and say, what is our job? What is education really? And part of it is it's not just learning facts. It's not just learning skills. It's learning, how to think and how to interact and how to create. And all of those are such amazing aspects of being human. And so giving people a head start when they're young, so they can start to discover and bring those forward, that's just a gift for everybody.
And I love what you said too, because it is stemming too. Our teachers, they're working very hard, and they are coming from the world where they haven't understood how to embrace their emotional intelligence and their support around their own reactions. And that's the world of evolution that we have a huge opportunity and a solution to bring that balance in now. It is coming from both sides. And I think, these students, I was recently, with these teens and stuff interacting, one of my teens was telling me, and this girl is amazing. She's talented. She works in after school programs, and she was actually in an after school program, and she had missed a step in one of the things they were doing. And the teacher actually stopped, looked at her directly, and was like, "You're going to said you will show up and be the one that stands out as the one that's not good if you don't get your stuff together in front of everyone." And this girl is already feeling insecure. She's already working very hard. She is a little overwhelmed with what she's learning. And she felt so overwhelmed that she just ran out of the classroom. And she had every right to feel that way. Because in those moments, if someone is out of place in the group, to stop and point them out is only creating that insecurity that's probably going on inside of them. And for the teacher to be able to have the skills to notice and possibly point it out at the end of the class. Hey guys, I noticed there was a few of you that were having a hard time with some of those steps. If you need some individual help, I'm here for you. It really stands out in the group when those steps are missed. So let's work as a team to support one another, and maybe pull that student aside, but not in front of everyone, because they already are worried about how they're showing up. Every single one of them, one way or another, is working, like our topic. They are working to be the best they can be always. And so pointing out a negative is not creating a solution. And so whatever we can do to support more love in the hearts of, yes, the youth, and the adults that are working very hard to allow those youth to be the shining little sparks that they are in the world. And I think those adults are really striving for that. And we're all dealing with some of those emotional breakdowns that we're not sure how to react. And so, you know, I'm just really interested to even hear from some of these teachers and parents about what they feel they're going through, and acknowledging some of those reactions, and what is even happening in those classrooms, of how we can turn around in a better solution, not just for the kids, but for the adults that are embracing those youth coming up as well.
You bet. And to help make it easy for people to realize that there is actually something that's missing that we need to insert. It's like I went to elementary school in the late 1960s, and at that time we still had a music teacher who came in, right? And there was one music teacher, and we all went to music, at our time during the week, right? And every day we went out and we had recess,
Right.
right? And I look at those two examples of, oh my gosh, those are really important components to grow, to growing into a human being, because kids can't sit there for 6 hours without moving. You got to give them, right. And who would say, oh, let's not have any recess? No teacher would say that, because they know what happens in a class if kids don't go out and burn some energy, right? And in the same way, budgets being what they are and so forth now, music and art is being cut in a lot of places because it's not seen as, essential, because not everyone, is going to become an artist or whatever and there's a reasonable, rational point of view about that. But I think it's also missing what else that does for kids. And having, and in the same way that you would hire a music teacher who's skilled at teaching music and knows music well, as opposed to, telling every teacher, do your best to teach music. Well, that's not going to work, right? And in the same way with these emotional skills, those things are so important. So why are we not standing up and saying, hey, school, bring this in. Our kids need more of this. And frankly, we do the best we can, but these folks actually seem to have some ideas that are even things I never learned. Let them,
Yeah.
I want this, but if we don't know what's missing, we can't call for it. And that's, that's why I joined this group, to come be a part of that, because it's not necessarily obvious. But my goodness, it's so obvious when it's present, and you go, oh yeah, that's it, yay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I think it's surfacing more and more, and it's being seen, not just by the youth. The youth are very smart. They are noticing that there is something missing. And I believe that the teachers, staff, parents, they all see it too. And everyone's working in what do we do next? And I think that there isn't a lot of solution minded people out there. A lot of people are waiting for what that change will be. So, if you find it in your heart to have an idea, then great. We all can be the change, no matter what that is. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to embrace that and put it out there. And this is not to take away from the efforts that all of those, parents and teachers and all of the things that are
working
happening
so hard.
They're working very hard.
And pushing,
but they're stuck in the old ways. They're stuck in the way it used to be, and what they were taught to do. And it doesn't make it wrong, but it doesn't make it right. And
it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't make it work. And so really just embracing compassion and acceptance for all that we are as individuals, and for what others are going through. And I think, a lot of that reaction oriented is very normal in society for people to react in judgment and
Absolutely.
this instead of, oh, I see that in myself. I see what I feel like.
Yes. Beautiful.
So this is such an amazing topic for the world, and so ignited to be having these conversations, because this is just fills my soul up and gets me excited, because I feel like we're finally coming into a space where we can be heard in this conversation, and just really excited to see all of the unfolding and these parts.
I look forward to the day when we look back and we go, remember when we didn't get this? Remember when this wasn't part of what we did?
I'm excited for that too.
Beautiful.
This is awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Come
Thank
play. We are one.
We are one.